Alan Wake 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. From the narrative to the art direction to the weirdness and of course It's such a great piece of art that you don't normally see in AAA gaming projects because artistic integrity often comes at the cost of marketability, especially when the game you're trying to market is a sequel to a 13-year-old game that only sold okay-ish in its time. So the fact that this game even exists is amazing in its own right, and when they announced the release date of the DLC titled Night Springs with less than 12 hours notice, I had to clear my schedule. Night Springs' story doesn't really spoil anything major with Alan Wake 2's main plot, as the DLC is essentially like 3 prequels to it, so you should be okay to watch this if you haven't played Alan Wake 2, but there will be a couple things here and there, and I'm going to have to get you caught up with the first game and its spin-off Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Pretty much everything that you need to know is that Alan Wake is a writer, he is trapped in a dimension known as the Dark Place, and he has the unique ability to manifest his writings into reality. However, in order for his reality to take hold, his story has to meet some criteria. First, he can't rewrite reality altogether, but he can only influence people and things that already exist. Second, he has to keep everything within the horror genre, since this all started out as a horror story for him. Third, he can't end it with, "they all lived happily ever after." There has to be balance between light and dark, and a price needs to be paid that warrants the reward. It has been implied that he doesn't need to follow these rules, and instead his ego, his self-doubt, and his OCD are forcing him to follow these rules. But what matters is that he believes that he needs to follow these rules, and as such, he's been trying and failing to write himself out of the Dark Place for 13 years. Every attempt has landed him back where he started. He's even isekai'd himself into Fortnite and Dead by Daylight in these endeavors, but that apparently didn't work out because he was still in the Dark Place. The DLC is a 3-part anthology detailing 3 failed stories written by Alan Wake, and the characters and settings in these stories closely resemble characters and settings from Alan Wake 2 and other games made by Remedy. It's all framed as a television show called Night Springs, which is an in-universe show that is very similar to The Twilight Zone, and it's the show that got Alan Wake his start in his writing career. Each episode in the DLC is written by Alan Wake and is narrated by Warland Dorr, who is a more sinister character in the Dark Place and is kind of like a foil to Alan Wake. And I believe that's pretty much everything we need to know to get started on this DLC. Episode 1 of Night Springs is titled Number 1 Fan and features an intro by Warland Dorr as he gives a brief monologue about fanaticism.
A fan. The dictionary definition of the word is...
After his intro, we then cut to Night's Diner, which is a diner in the town of Night Springs, wherein works our main character known as the Waitress. She looks exactly like Rose Marigold, the town of Night Springs looks exactly like the town of Bright Falls, and Night's Diner looks like the Oh Dear Diner, but they are different. These are all just products of Alan's writings. But the Waitress is in effect a stand-in for Rose Marigold, and Rose's obsession with Alan Wake carries over to the Waitress's obsession with a fictionalized version of Alan Wake known as the Writer. And this is all pretty much how I imagine Rose Marigold lives in her own head. So she goes out to serve her customers at the diner, where everyone adores her and they ask her for advice because she's so great and her fan website for the author is so amazing, and she's just living the dream life of a delusional Swiftie. While making her rounds, a customer named Guy Who Works with Computers asks her for a book recommendation, and Rose goes to the storage room to get him the latest work from her beloved The Writer. In the storage room, there's a bulletin board designating the Waitress as the employee of the decade, as well as a board of fan art that she drew of herself and The Writer, which, amazing. But as she goes to grab the book for the customer, The Writer speaks to her through a big mouth Billy Bass toy.
It's me, your favorite writer whose voice you would recognize in your sleep. I'm in danger. Please, my number 1 fan. You're the only one who can save me.
Oh my gosh. Don't worry. I'm on my way. My beloved writer was in terrible danger, and I had to rescue him. The stakes had never been higher. Luckily, I kept all my accessories in the diner's kitchen.
So she forgets about giving the guy the book and goes and gets her aforementioned accessories and sets out to save the man she loves while everyone cheers her on, because of course they do. On her way to save the Writer, she's confronted by the bad boy who looks eerily similar to the Writer. This is because he is based on Mr. Scratch, who is, in essence, Wake's evil doppelganger who tries to thwart all of his attempts to escape the Dark Place. The bad boy tells Rose that he is the Writer's twin brother and that he has him locked up somewhere. He explains to her that he has an army of haters that are willing to die to stop the writer from making his next book, and asks what she could possibly have that could stop them all.
I have a shotgun.
Well, wait, that's a real shotgun? Okay, I admit I didn't expect that.
The bad boy goes wolf mode and then lets loose his army of haters, and the waitress decides that only a monster could not like the writer's works, so with the fury of 1,000 Swifties, she does what they only wish that they could do to the haters. She gets to the bad boy's cabin, which is basically a dude bro man cave in which the writer is supposedly locked up, but he's not there. She confronts the bad boy yet again, and he tells her that the writer's locked away in his mansion on the outskirts of Night Springs. The waitress blasts her way to the mansion, and on her way she's greeted by a buck that the writer uses to speak to her yet again.
I knew you, my #1 fan, would never fall victim to my twisted brother's lies. You're the only one who can save me. I believe in you.
At the mansion, she has one final confrontation with the bad boy, and they fight. It turns out that he can turn into a werewolf, which makes things a little bit more difficult, but there's one even more surprising twist with this fight. After defeating the bad werewolf and his werewolf motorcycle, the bad boy submits and tells the waitress to just kill him. She refuses, saying that she sees the good in him, somehow, and the bad boy confesses that he was only ever jealous of his brother for being better looking, more talented, and having a girl as great as the waitress at his side. Alan Wake was really just kind of glazing himself with his writings at this point, apparently. After blasting away the last of the haters, Rose finds the writer locked away in his room, where she sweeps him off his feet and they live happily ever after. Warlandor then offers this outro.
A fan and the object of her joy come together against a world trying to keep them apart. A happy ending for some. But is happiness, like beauty, all in the eye of the beholder? Where is the line between fandom and fixation? One can never tell in Night Springs.
And we get this absolute bop of an outro song. I honestly really liked #1 Fan. I think it was an incredibly goofy and, dare I say, even silly episode of Night Springs. It offers a fun look at the mind of a stan culture, delusional fan type person. Like how she's convinced that the haters are only out to get the writer and the only way to deal with them is to put them down. And the overall aesthetic, color palette, and rockabilly vibes to this episode kind of makes it seem like if you got Quentin Tarantino to direct the 2022 movie Pearl, but while he was on like 3 times the amount of cocaine than he normally is. And in the end, it's pretty easy to see why this writing failed to get Alan Wake out of the dark place. For starters, it's nowhere near rooted in anything approximating reality or horror, and he very blatantly breaks the no happily ever after rule. So Alan Wake likely wound up stuck back where he was in the writer's room in the dark place, and this may have had the side effect of making Rose Marigold more delusional for the events of Alan Wake 2. Episode 2 of the Night Springs DLC is titled North Star, and going into all this blind, I cheered like the most annoying nerd you can imagine in a Marvel movie when the main character was revealed. It's the sibling. The sibling is based on the character of Jesse Faden, the protagonist of Remedy's previous game, Control, which was my introduction to all of Remedy's games. I've since obsessed over all the other ones. A little background on Jessie is that she and her brother Dylan stumbled upon some paranormal stuff when they were kids, and the Federal Bureau of Control came and abducted her brother Dylan, who looks like he's about to offer you hot wings while asking you surprisingly well-researched questions. She's been searching for Dylan ever since. Jessie is aided by a paranormal entity known as Polaris that points her in the right direction. But this isn't Jesse Faden, this is the sibling, who is a character based on Jesse Faden that Alan Wake is hoping will free him from the dark place. The sibling's search leads her to a theme park in Night Springs called Coffee World, otherwise known as Mormon Hell, probably, because Mormons don't drink coffee. Things immediately seem a bit off as there are shadowy figures blocking several pathways, and the sibling eventually finds a gazebo under which is a man known as the Sheriff. He's based on the Alan Wake 2 character known as Tim Breaker. The sheriff then explains the situation to the sibling.
The government's been putting something in the coffee, turning people into coffee monsters. But now it's clear. This is deep state science.
The sibling's brother is most likely in the warehouse behind Coffee World, and she'll have to access it with the door's intercom. The sheriff arms the sibling with flashlight and a pistol, meaning...
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
The sibling arrives at the intercom and is asked a verification question that requires that she watch an introduction video for Coffee World. She goes back to the sheriff, who is worried that she's going to get herself blue-pilled by the deep state propaganda, but he relents and gives her access to the videotape. I'm just kidding, this is the real video.
Dark Triangle Coffee is a fast-growing company with ambitions to sweep the nation. The company's mission statement is simple. To drink the truth is to become
That's what we need.
one.
Password
Our
is
financial and
truth.
spiritual growth
Now
has
we
been
can-
accelerating at speeds previously unknown
what
to
is-
humanity.
Something is...
Soon everyone will only know the flavor of dark.
Something is... Oh, it's in my head. Please, you need to drink. Please, no.
Bro, you were right. This goes straight to the top. I'm talking like Biden, maybe even God. But now the sibling has the code that she needs to give to the intercom, and she does so. The intercom then asks her what the proper roasting temperature is for coffee, so she has to go back and find that too. The first hint is that the temperature is greater than the sum of the triangle. The second is that the first digit is half the second, and the third digit is one less than the second digit. And the third clue is that it is less than 500, because that is the number of light years to planet X13. They got the Scientologists involved too, boys. The answer is 487 degrees, by the way. She then gets her third request from the intercom, which is that she needs to drink the coffee before entering. She chugs it and has the existential crisis involved with committing a Mormon sin.
That wasn't so... Join. Drink. Please. Help me.
But ultimately she fights it off. On her way back, she hears and goes to investigate. The sheriff is a little rattled, having been jumped by some of the assimilated coffee drinkers. He got a little coffee in his mouth when they tried to force it on him, but he spit it out and he's pretty sure that he'll be fine. He's not going to be fine, chat. He gives the sibling some parting words and she sets off to save her brother. The intercom senses that she is now one of them after having tasted the coffee and lets her in only after she surrenders her weapons. Inside is a big buff coffee thermos, probably the Mormon devil, let's be honest, and if the sibling isn't careful, then... But if she is careful, she's able to pass it and get into the office room of the warehouse, where she's greeted with...
Coffee time is family time. It's the best part of the day.
I told you he wasn't fine, chat. The sibling descends the ladder, recreates the poster for Monkey Man, great movie by the way, and greets her brother, who says that he would like to tell her about a dream that he had. The episode then ends after a discussion about conspiracies from Mr. Door. This final scene mimics some of Jessie and her brother Dylan's encounters from the game Control, where he tells her about cryptic dreams that he had. So Alan Wake wrote himself as the stand-in for Jessie's brother, hoping that the sibling would be able to save him. I think this one failed because it kind of loses the plot near the end. There's no reason for it to be believable that Alan Wake is being kept in a secret government conspiracy surrounding coffee. It doesn't exactly earn its ending, and heck, we don't even see him freed in this episode. He's still locked in a box while the sibling watches on. But as a big Control fan, it was great for me to get to be in the shoes of this totally not Jesse Faden character. Episode 3 is called Timebreaker, and it deals with the multiverse. This one is the most lore dense because it pieces together Remedy's games universe, and it also gives explanation as to why I've been calling these people the writer and the sibling instead of Rose and Jesse. And now we see the main character, who is a face that's very familiar from episode 2. Except the main character of Timebreaker isn't Tim Breaker, and is not even the sheriff. He is known as the Actor, and is based on the actor Sean Ashmore, who plays Tim Breaker in Alan Wake 2. We're already off to a very confusing meta start, but just bear with me, it gets worse. After filming a scene for Timebreaker, which is a video game where he plays a multiversal hero, he has a brief discussion with the director, who is played by Sam Lake, who is a director and writer for Alan Wake 2 and other projects by Remedy Entertainment. He's basically like Finnish Hideo Kojima. They express their excitement over the project and how it will incorporate FMV, which is the act of inserting actual recorded footage of humans into a video game for some parts instead of doing mocap work. This is regularly used by Sam Lake in his games, and it was used previously in the Sean Ashmore Remedy collaboration known as Quantum Break. The director goes on to explain that the actor's character's nemesis, the Master of Many Worlds, is none other than Mr. Door, who happens to be the guy who's been narrating these episodes all along. Door has been murdering different versions of the actor across the multiverse. With some meta humor, they poke fun at nerdy sci-fi properties and their reliance on weird mechanics with indecipherable acronyms.
Acronyms are cool, right? Like tiny mysteries. You power up your PRS, polyhedron reality shifter, with a SEN shifter energy node to activate a LumiVista TV and ride the vortex between realities.
And the director also just flat out delivers the truth about how Remedy's multiverse works in the lore.
It's all out there. That's where these ideas and inspirations come from. They seep through. Somewhere this here us talking is part of the video game, and another version of you is playing it. Somewhere your character, the agent, is real, and he could appear here through a portal anytime now.
Right. Yeah, right, Sam.
After this, the actor needs to go to the green room to chill out and learn his lines. And on his way, this happens.
What the fuck was that? Hello? What the fuck is this?
So what happened is Mr. Door came in and killed a variant of the actor in the actor's green room. The script on the floor dictates exactly what the actor says and does in this part of the game, but I was too busy looking at the dead frickin' body to notice it on my playthrough. The actor thinks this is just a very realistic prank made by the director, but then he comes face to face with the agent, who is mortified to learn that the dead guy is her partner Branch. Keen-eyed viewers might notice that the agent is the same character model as Jesse Faden. Courtney Hope, the actress who plays Jesse and the sibling, she also had a role in Quantum Break where her character was named Beth. And Sean Ashmore's character in Quantum Break is named Jack Joyce. Those two end up becoming partners, so the agent and her now dead partner Branch are like an echo of that partnership. Door stops the agent from telling the actor what to do next, and the actor gets teleported to a parallel universe where he is very much in mortal peril. He finds a trailer belonging to that universe's version of himself, where there is a LumiVista TV. If you've been paying any attention at all, then it should be very obvious what you need to do. The actor needs to power up his polyhedron reality shifter with a shifter energy node so that he can activate the LumiVista TV and ride the vortex between realities. And so that's exactly what he does. This takes him to another parallel universe where he is now in the Ocean View Motel. This is a reoccurring location across Remedy's games. The actor discovers that the motel has subtle changes to its lobby based on which hallways he progresses through, and that changes the time of day, and after going through them in a specific order, he's able to power up his PRS with an SEN and activate the LumiVista TV so he can ride the vortex between realities. Sorry, I finished pressing the button a little too early. It happens, let's do it again. The actor then gets teleported into another universe taking place in a comic book. There he meets up with the agent, who is impressed with his ability to precision jump through the multiverse, and drops an absolute bombshell of a reveal for Remedy's connected universe and the lore for all of these games in general. Just like Sam Lake said at the start of the episode, all of these characters are variants of each other. So Beth from Quantum Break, Jesse Faden, the agent, and the sibling are all the same person from other realities. It doesn't even matter if the realities are real or just stories written by Alan Wake. Similarly, the actor, the sheriff, Tim Breaker, and Jack Joyce are all the same person in different realities. And even the director, Alex Casey from Alan Wake, and Max Payne from Max Payne, same guy. Perhaps the most interesting thing for Alan Wake fans is a picture showing Alan Wake, Mr. Scratch, and Thomas Zane, which seems to imply that Zane and Wake are the same person but from different realities. The agent then talks about the origins for Mr. Door. He stumbled upon a paranormal phenomenon that allowed him to have access to himself in all realities. This killed all of his other multiversal selves, but it gave him the ability to travel between realities at will. This is the same origin story as Quantum Break's villain Martin Hatch, which all but confirms they are one and the same. By the way, all of this is huge for us Remedy Entertainment fans because Max Payne and Quantum Break, the rights are held by other companies, so this is essentially their way of like canonizing those into Alan Wake and Control. It's brilliant. But anyway, Mr. Door is threatened by the actor and all of his variants and has been hunting them down and bringing them back as Timebreaker villains, the things that you're fighting in this episode. The agent then tells the actor that he possesses the ability to teleport through realities with such great precision that he could potentially find the source of Mr. Door's powers to kill him. So in order to do that, we all should already know what the actor does next, so say it with me. He powers up his polyhedron reality shifter with a shifter energy node so he can activate the Luma Vista TV and ride the vortex between realities. After finding himself in a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up reality, the actor fends off his enemies and finds an SEN to power up his PRS and make another jump with another Luma Vista TV. Getting closer to the source of Mr. Door's powers, he progresses through a heavily distorted reality, and at the end of that one, he reaches a new realm that is just pure ideas. At this point, the game just descends into this chaotic choose-your-own-adventure game where you're given text prompts and you have to answer your way through it. So I'm going to summarize what happens. There's a lot of branching paths and I may not have gotten everything, but I'm doing my best. The actor nearly loses himself in this realm of just words and ideas, but he regains his sense of self, remembers his mission, and proceeds. He's given the option to focus on finishing the Master of Many Worlds or to focus on going back to the agent. This is the branching. If he focuses on the Master, he has the option to either meditate and think on it or just prepare for war. Meditating puts him on this wild journey where he discovers the seed to plant Yggdrasil, the world tree. He hangs himself from it like Odin did, or he becomes it. He takes a branch from the tree as it dies, uses it to complete a door that he finds, and he opens the door to find the Master of Many Worlds. If instead of meditating, you decide to prepare for war, then the actor goes back to the agent and they prepare to fight Door, but one way or another, the agent dies. Her weapon turns into a key for the actor, and he uses that key to open up a special door to find the Master of Many Worlds. Rewinding back to a few decisions prior, you have the choice to go after the Man of Many Worlds or to go after the agent. If you decide to go focus on the agent, then you find another version of her that is named Lisa, and the actor and Lisa start a new life together, and they move to a cabin on the lake. And then Lisa starts to have these terrible dreams about all this multiverse stuff, and if you tell the truth to her, she will leave you. If you lie to her, she will fall into the lake. Either way, she leaves behind a pendant, and using that pendant opens a door to find the Master of Many Worlds. However, behind each of these doors, it is not the Master of Many Worlds, it is Alan Wake. This episode ends with Mr. Door delivering a monologue about how in a multiverse with many variants, he is the only Warland Door. This one is an absolute cerebral doozy that is really hard to parse and follow. We literally have Sean Ashmore, the actor, becoming Odin, or setting in motion the entire events of the first Alan Wake game, depending on which ending you get. I don't know. My brain is broken and I am tired. So rather than offer up my own theories on why Alan Wake wrote this and why it failed, I'm just going to let it sit and simmer and let you guys ponder on it, because I've been thinking on it for the past day and a half and I'm still mind blown, guys. So there you have it, Alan Wake's Night Springs DLC summed up and explained to the absolute best of my ability. I love this DLC. It seems like it's a love letter to the fans to celebrate all the weirdness and all of the meta and all the confusion that Alan Wake is. If you guys have your own theories or your own takes on this, I would love to hear them in the comments, because I'm just one person. This is just one interpretation of it all, and Remedy's games are very much open for interpretation. But that being said, my name is not freaking Nick, and I will catch you guys later. Take care.